Hey guys, so this is Tina from Fitshortie Eats, and without further ado, today we're gonna get into the topic of the day, which is intermittent fasting and 1 meal a day, OMAD in short. Basically, if you don't know what it is, it's a diet of sorts, if you like, that's like been really big online in the last year. And what does it mean to be doing an OMAD diet? Basically, it means limiting a small time window where you eat and then fasting for the larger part of the day. So for example, you might choose to eat for only about 2 hours of the day and fast for 22 hours, or you might choose a 4-hour window and then fast for 20 hours. And why am I talking about this? Basically, a lot of plant-based YouTubers that I really love and respect have been doing the OMAD diet in the last year and really thriving on it. Many of them are my friends, people who we know in person, and I was really curious to try it myself. And then I noticed something, that many of these people doing OMAD or intermittent fasting are mostly men. So I was really curious, how is it going to go from a female perspective? And not only that, if you know as well, then you know that Simon and I eat a completely different diet to most people. We actually only eat fruits, and we eat the best fruits, the best quality fruits, whilst living in the tropic over a very long time. If you want to know what that's like, by the way, you can join us this year in Borneo. We are organizing a jungle durian retreat in Borneo in December and January. And I think there's still one place left in January, although there's like 3 people who are, very keen for that place. So I don't know when you're going to be watching this video. It's very possible that there's going to be any places left for January. But we still have 2 spots left for December. So if you want to experience the best fruits on the planet, join us this December in Borneo. To join and to get more info about the retreat, email us at fitshortie@gmail.com. Anyway, back to intermittent fasting and the 1 meal a day diet. So let's start with how I did it. First of all, I've been eating only fruit for almost 5 years. It's going to be 5 years, 1st of December. So I know exactly how much fruit or how much food or calories I need to feel really good. And on average, we don't punch it into chronometer, right? We eat really intuitively, right? But if you did punch it, I would probably need about 1,800 calories per day with my average activity level, which is about, I do about a 5-kilometer walk per day. I'm not very big, I'm really small, hence Fitshortie Eats. I'm about 5 feet, which is 153 centimeters tall, and I weigh about 52 kilograms, which is 114 pounds. So I'm small and compact, and I think 1,800 is what I need to eat daily to feel great the next day. Because remember, you're always eating for the next day. So in our 1 meal a day experiment, or intermittent fasting, we would abstain from eating, right? And start eating at, let's say, 2 o'clock or at 12 o'clock and try to limit it to a 2-hour window. And here was the first problem that I encountered. And that is that when you eat fruits, which are water rich, right, they have a huge volume. So you can't fit as much. You might end up eating kilograms and kilograms of watermelon and papaya, but in terms of calories or fuel there's not going to be that much. So the most I can usually fit in 1 meal is about 600 calories. If I really push it, if I'm eating something really dense, then I can push in 800 calories in a sitting. And if I'm eating durian, which is incredibly calorie dense, and really like smashing it in, then I can eat 1,000 calories in a sitting. And I will typically eat just 1 fruit per meal because it digests better and I can really appreciate the fruit this way. So you can already see the problem there. If I limit to 1 meal a day, I'm getting somewhere between 600 and 1,000 maybe calories per day. So that's like, not even a third of my recommended how much I need per day, right? So in those days when we did intermittent fasting and I had 1 meal a day, I was really hungry the next day because I had only eaten like 600 or 800 calories, because that's how much I could fit in with fruits. Then what I tried also was doing, 2 meals a day. So I'd do one meal, of 600 calories of one fruit, let's say juicy fruit like rambutans, and then, one meal of, let's say, durian, but that was still not enough. So in other words, if you're eating a huge volume of fruits, there's so much water content there, you're not going to be eating enough calories. That was my experience. So whenever we would eat one meal a day, first of all, I would be hungry the next day, and that's not a good state, or undercarb, not thriving, not having the kind of energy I want every day. So when we were doing the one meal a day, or intermittent fasting if you like, I noticed that I was undercarb from not eating enough the previous day, but also I started losing weight. And here's the thing, in today's society, it's all about weight loss diet, and I understand that because I was fat and overweight most of my life. But if you go on a fruit diet long term for several years, you will actually understand that the challenge is to keep the weight on. So while doing one meal a day, eating fruit, I was losing too much weight too fast, and I didn't want that. I feel really good at my weight. So I had not enough calories, to sustain my weight. So how is it that we do eat? I mean, we do adopt some of the principles of intermittent fasting, and, we have a narrow eating window. For example, and this is the way I've been eating in the last 3, 4, maybe 5 years. I will typically eat breakfast at 10 o'clock, lunch at 1 o'clock, and dinner at 4 o'clock. So there's 3-hour gaps between each of those meals. But if you put them together, I'm still eating within a rather narrow time window. I'm eating within 6 hours, and then I will typically dry fast, meaning I won't consume water or coconut water or anything over the next 18 hours. So my body does have the time to generate, and this feels really good. Also for me, it's key to stop eating at 4 o'clock, because if not, then all the water from water-rich fruits collects in my bladder, and I have to wake up in the middle of the night and pee, and I don't like to do that. So I like to stop eating at 4 o'clock so that, by 7 or 8 when I'm in bed, I've already peed out everything from the food I've eaten over the day, and I can just sleep an uninterrupted 10 or 11 hours. Which I do every day. So in other words, I find it that from my female perspective, it's impossible to do one meal a day on fruit. The volume is too large to fit it into one meal, and then why would I want to? Say, if I were eating a cooked plant-based diet, for example, vegan pizza, or, potatoes with rice, or potatoes with beans, I don't even know what the combinations are nowadays, right? Then those foods have much smaller water content, and they're much more calorie dense. So if you're eating cooked food, vegan or not, right, you will be able to pack, enough calories into one meal. And I guess that will work for you. If you're doing it on fruits, unless you have an incredibly stretched stomach, which I don't have even after 4 years on the fruit diet, it will be impossible to fit it into one meal, which is why I'm not an advocate of the diet known as, intermittent fasting or one meal a day. And I also don't like rules or restrictions or fixed mindsets. So for me, a diet where, no matter if I'm feeling like hungry or thirsty, I still, stick to not touching food or drink until 12 or 2 p.m. and where it's really restricted, I don't like that restrictive feel. I much rather go intuitively. If I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat at 7 a.m., Usually I start at 10, but there is days where, I've walked like 10 kilometers the previous day and I wake up really hungry, and then I start eating at 7 a.m. and it's fine. And then there's those days where I will monomeal durian and have one huge meal, and then it will end up just being one meal that day. But would I call it intermittent fasting? No, because it was just an intuitive choice. I ate one meal a day that day by pure coincidence. So no nothing strict about the eating patterns actually appeals to me. And when I'm in doubt, I will usually look at nature and see how animals are doing it. And here's the thing, every animal is doing it differently. If you look at a snake who has swallowed a mouse, and I've seen them do that just a week ago, right? Then that snake probably won't eat for several weeks while it digests the mouse. So he's like a 1 meal a day, right? And then when you look at sheep, they're grazing, every hour that they're awake. So where does that put us, primates? And the closest I found was monkeys, and we do watch a lot of monkeys. Whenever I see them, I'm really captivated, and a lot of the time when I go swimming in the river, there's monkey tribes moving through the forest. And what I see is that they're always eating. They're eating the whole time. They're grazing the whole time, and they never pass up an opportunity when they see fruit. So I cannot imagine a monkey going like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to eat until like 2 p.m. because that's my standpoint and that's how I feel best. No, they're opportunists. They eat whenever they find the food. And I am an opportunist eater too. Anyway, that's about it for today. I'm super keen to find out, what do you think about 1 meal a day or intermittent fasting? I know many of you will have a different opinion. As I've said, many of our friends who we know in person who are raw or fruitarian practice this 1 meal a day thing, and it works for them. But I just wanted to put out my perspective out there and the fact that it did not work for me. And I think that unless you're very, very practiced in eating huge amounts of fruits in a sitting, you could be under eating while eating fruit and fall off the wagon quite easily, which is not what you want to do.